Play the popular Coast to Coast Pick 5 and the new Sunset Pick 6, featuring the last 3 races from
Gulfstream Park and Anita Park. A $1 minimum.
retail only wagers. Coast to Coast Pick 5 and Sunset Pick 6 every Friday through Sunday.
And what a coast-to-coast pick 5 and sunset 6 sequence you'll have coming up this week, because it is Fountain of Youth Day at Gulfstream Park. They will have a massive, massive day there. The late pick 5 is all graded stakes races. You've got the Fountain of Youth, the Devona Dale, Kentucky Derby points up for grabs, Kentucky Oaks points up for grabs. Barry Spears joins me here to preview the Saturday Coast to Coast pick 5. Barry, this is an awesome sequence.
Oh yeah, this is a monster Saturday card at Gulfstream. And then those, stake races out west are really, really good on the turf. Man, this is a really good sequence this week.
Yeah, actually. So 4 of the 5 races we're going to talk about are actually graded stakes races. And then I think the 5th race at Santa Anita that's not is a very competitive Calbred maiden special weight sprinting on the turf. So a very fun sequence to dive into. It's going to get started in race number 11 at Gulfstream Park around 4:35 or so Eastern time on Saturday with the grade 2 Devona Dale. Barry Spears, my friend, let's jump right into this one. I'm excited, Barry. You and I were talking. You're going to be making the trip out to Southern California next week, because next week, big day at Santa Anita for the Big Cap, San Felipe, and some of their big graded stakes races.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's my first time out at Santa Anita, and it's the Big Cap. So yeah, it really couldn't get any better than this. I mean, between this week at Gulfstream, next week at Santa Anita, I really can't complain.
Okay, well, we need some money for the trips, right?
Yes,
we need plenty of bankroll for our the trips all over. Barry, let's start in race number 11 with the grade 2 Devona Dale here. The horse to the outside is one that we should start the talking with. That's On Time Girl. She has won 4 of her 5 races. She's won 2 in a row now. She won the grade 3 Forward Gal, which was the prep for this one. But she is drawn to the outside, and she likes to sit really close. So you can envision her maybe getting a bit of a wide trip in here. I do want to mention at least that the 2 and the 3 both will not be running in this race. They were entered at Aqueduct. They both are going to be running at Aqueduct. The 2 Blazing Brat, the 3 Paradise. So it won't be a field of 9. It will be, as of now, a field of 7 as we look at it. But it does seem like the majority of the money, I think, is going to come towards the outside, Barry, with the 7 Swing Vote, the 8 She Be Smooth for Pletcher and Pratt, and then the 9 On Time Girl, who's, right at the very top of the 3-year-old filly division right now. She's probably on any short list of 3 to 5 best 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, she's got to be going into this race at least.
Sure.
Her resume.
She's got to prove it going long, right? She's been all sprinting, but as of now, she's there.
Yep, she's absolutely there. Just based on her resume. I mean, those 2 stake races, one of which she, actually 3. The Fern Creek she won, and then the Ford Gal she won. So she's obviously moving in the right direction. Very logical favorite here. Will probably run well, as she seems to like the track there. But she's not a cinch. And I wouldn't take 9 to 5 on her, to be honest with you, because there are other options here. This race is kind of a race that it gives me fits, races like this, because you can envision pretty much anybody in this race winning.
Yeah.
If they get their trip.
I did a pick 5 preview with David Aragona on DRF.com of the late pick 5 at Gulfstream. And we would go through each race and kind of give our confidence of each race. This was one of my least confident races, because what you were pointing out, I could see the 4 Omaha Bay being really, really quick. And running away from this field. I could see I can envision a setup where the 4 goes, the 1, My Miss Mo, stretching out from sprint, shows a little bit of speed. You've got the 5 Imperatrice, who's right there. The 8 She Be Smooth, and definitely the 9 can be close. And I could even make a case for a horse like the 6 Hout Diva as a closer. Like, we know that this horse can sit off and close. I don't think she's as good as a horse like the 9 and maybe down the line, but could she be one of a few that sits back if they all kind of are pushing each other early on? So I thought this race was a little more tricky than just On Time Girl, while I do respect her.
Yeah, same. I thought She Be Smooth might be interesting in this spot.
Sure.
That race that she ran on January 23rd was pretty good. Beat Prom Queen, who came out of that race to win. I think that was a little bit of a live event, and I think that horse in particular might benefit from maybe getting a pace duel up front. So if Omaha Bay, and I think On Time Girl is going to send, there's a possibility they kind of push each other up front.
Yeah.
And you involve Imperatrice, who could end up being sort of a rabbit for She Be Smooth. And it kind of sets up that way. It also sets up for the 7 swing vote in that regard also, who actually draws pretty well in this spot. Getting more than the 2-1 you've been getting on her is probably ideal. But the question marks are there, the distance and so on.
And she's shown us too, like she's getting more distance, 2 sprints to a route that's positive, but when you start facing tougher horses, like perfect example, in her debut, she ran really well, but she still lost to Omaha Bay because she was off slow, and she spots Omaha Bay, 5 or 6 lengths there. So if she's not a great gate horse, as the races get tougher, those types of horses end up running like good seconds and good thirds a lot, but not winning.
Correct. And that's kind of what I was envisioning for swing vote. I think she might need, a race at this level
at the trip, right? It just kind of
the trip, right?
To figure it out. I agree. I kind of feel that way with her too,
because she's been a step slow. I think she's still a little bit green, getting out of the gate and so on. Maybe she's just purely slow. I guess as time goes on, we'll see that. But of all the horses that probably will take action, she was probably the one that I think further down the line will be better.
Yeah, maybe a little colder on. I like the 8 as well. She Be Smooth. I think she's going to sit a great trip in here. She beat Prom Queen last time out. Prom Queen came back and won by 8 lengths with an 83 buyer speed figure here. And She Be Smooth has been working with Imperatrice in the mornings. She Be Smooth has just been better.
Just better, yeah.
And definitely better late in those works. You could just see she's a distance horse. She wears her down, and that's where she starts getting into her best late stride. So, in a tricky race, we both are looking at maybe a little cold on the 7. Definitely the 8, She Be Smooth, is a horse that we're both including. I like the 6 a little, Hout Diva at a fun price. And the 9 we respect. On Time Girl, we feel like we'll be in the mix. Who else worth mentioning in here, Barry? Anyone else that's on the radar for you?
I think you touched on Omaha Bay. In this sort of situation, I would look for the 4 Omaha Bay, the 8 She Be Smooth, and On Time Girl, and I would probably in a deeper ticket reluctantly include swing vote.
Yeah, I actually was on what I put out. I was using all of those, honestly. I had 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in this sequence in the pick 5, the Gulfstream pick 5. Now it's a little different when you're playing the coast to coast, right? Because it's a dollar based versus a 50 cent based. So maybe you play the 50 cent pick 5 at Gulfstream. You can go a little deeper in this race in that format. On this one, where it's a dollar base, you may have to take your stand a little more here. And that's maybe where you don't reluctantly include the horses that we were just talking about, right? Like the 7 swing vote. You don't use those ones as much. You lean on your stronger opinions. Sometimes you just got to play those tickets off of each other. The grade 2, Devona Dale, gets the coast to coast pick 5 started. Barry, we are going to flip on over to the Santa Anita portion of this. We go just to the 5th race at Santa Anita next up. And that one will be the turf sprint for Cowbreds. So this is not an easy race either. No. 6 furlongs on the turf. You have, another race where it's just hard to eliminate. Look at the odds on this field as you go through them. They're just not going to be that many big prices. They're going to be 6 or 7 horses that are single digits. Little Raymond is coming out of a good effort where he was right next to Big Bill. They ran right next to each other. If you liked either one of them, I couldn't really talk you off of them. Otto's Magic is quick. They tried to get him on the grass last time out. He's obviously a major player coming off of that second place finish. He's been second twice at this level on the dirt. What's wrong with the race that Seen By Me ran when she was just in front of Curlin Command? And you can look at Curlin Command and very easily just look at the sprint races. the last couple sprint races on the turf, they're very good. Maybe just didn't want to go longer last time out. Wiz Kid is a first-time starter. He's a gangster's coming off a layoff, a first-time gelding, so you don't have the good race on paper, but just the one race. I mean, Beer Buzz did not run poorly on the dirt in those races. We'll try turf for the first time. Just a Graze was only beat a neck in that Big Bill Little Raymond race last time out. You go through the whole field, it is just really hard to dismiss horses in here.
Yeah, and that's really the problem. You got to split hairs in order to kind of get past some of these horses. But funny thing is, I really am not too enthusiastic with horses like Otto's Magic. It seems like this horse has had his shot to really capitalize and just hasn't got it done. Maybe the surface switch is what gets it done, but it doesn't seem like it, especially the way this race kind of shapes up. It looks like it might get a pretty honest or even faster type pace up front. And that would leave it open for horses like Little Raymond and Seen by Me to kind of close in, even Big Bill.
Sure.
I like Big Bill's pattern, though.
Me too.
You know, he was running good before the layoff in October, came back in January, went long. And I think that was just to kind of get him back into it. Then last time, drew the rail and didn't get the best of trips, just missed. I think this is the moment for him. He's probably going to run his best race. Whether he wins or not is another story. I would hope to get that 5-1 because I think this race is kind of wide open.
So Big Bill is the one in the race that we're watching right here. He is a step slow, but then he pushes up the rail. He sits third. He's not even about 2 lengths off, but you'll see he gets kind of stuck in a bad spot.
Right. He's nowhere to go, really. I mean, he can't move
right.
forward. He can't get out, and he's stuck there.
He's
for
pinned.
A lot of this race. Yeah.
He's just kind of at the mercy of what's going on in front of him. And he, will kind of wait. And at the top of the lane, he has nowhere to go. He's kind of trying to look around, and we'll see that in just a second right here. But when you look, his 3 sprint races are his 3 best races. If you just eliminate the races going longer and you look at the debut going 6.5, the race where he finished 3rd behind Sir Percival, and then this one right here where he's got nowhere to go, right? He's looking around. He can't find a way through, nowhere to go. He tries to move in between, nothing there. Then he tries to go down to the inside, and you can see there's just no room for him right there. He's trying, but he can't get through, and he's just gradually, now he's got like a little bit of room, and he pushes through. If he had a seam, I think he wins that race.
Right. If he had a straight run, clear run, he would have got through and won that race.
And I'm now 3rd start of the form cycle. And as you pointed out, I think the way this race sets up on paper, he gets a little pace to chase. You should have the 2, Otto's Magic, who's going to go. You should have Beer Buzz, who showed sprint speed, who's going to go. Just a Graze showed speed last time out. He's going to go. And a horse like Danzig Wildcat from way out wide off a long layoff of first-time gelding, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him trying to push the pace at least early so he's not hooked so far wide. I think 3 or 4 of them are going to go in here. I was looking at the same type of horses that you were, the ones that can sit off and can close. Seen by Me, Big Bill, who you pointed out. I definitely like even Little Raymond. I don't have a problem with Little Raymond. I thought that race was a pretty good effort.
Yeah,
he's able to string 2 races together. I liked Big Bill a little more out of that race because of the trouble, but if I'm using a few in here, Little Raymond's in the mix for me too.
Yeah. I thought they ran similar races. I mean, Little Raymond had a little bit more to do. Big Bill had really great positional speed, and I think he's going to get that kind of trip again, and that might make the difference of him beating a horse like Little Raymond.
I wasn't Big Bill, but one of my favorite screams of my last few recent years was when Will Smith hits the home run, and I got to scream, "Big Willie!" after. So Big Bill, maybe we'll be screaming "Big Billy" for Barry and Gino if we can get Big Billy home in race number 5 on Saturday at Santa Anita. That's the second leg of that Coast to Coast Pick 5 sequence. Let's move to leg number 3 in the Coast to Coast Pick 5 sequence. Barry, we're going to head back over to Gulfstream Park. We're going to look at the Mac Diarmida Stakes. And in this one, we'll be going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf course here. We have fillies. We have the boys in here. And what I thought was kind of tricky about this particular race is like, there's not, you have Layabout, who's kind of the new face in the division now. And he's in good form. And other than him, it's a lot of wild cards. It's a lot of question marks. It's a lot of horses that, like, you have Grant Sonata, who's kind of got the back class. He's been in and around this level for a while, but he doesn't win all that often. You have Anagata and Zverev. They're kind of newer faces in the division, up and comers for Maker, who can really get horses right going long in this type of trip. I'll give a little bit of a tease. David, if you want to find out more about a horse, Tank, David Aragona thought this horse has a little bit of a shot in here, just showing that speed from the outside with Luis Saez. He thinks he'll actually get in front in here going longer and be able to get like a real easy trip up front. But Barry, let's hand the baton to you, my friend. This is the middle leg of the Coast to Coast Pick 5, leg 3. How deep do you need to be in here?
Ooh, not very deep, because I really think that Grand Sonata is a toss here. This horse is running up on 2 years almost without a victory. I mean, they've come close a couple of times, but
Over
really
the last 10.
hasn't been in the same kind of form. I know this race isn't the greatest of grade 2s, but he just seems like his time is a little bit past him. He's a step slower. He hasn't finished any races off in a while.
I go back and forth with him too, because I think I will say, like, his races, he is coming out of better races overall, his overall resume, than most of these. When you kind of start diving into the races individually and the horses who were beating him, like, I don't know how great a lot of those races really were.
Right.
Like, going through them,
what is
the old
Vizio
Crazy
in this
Bone,
race?
Fort Washington redistricting, like,
Right.
they're fine. Parchment Party, Utah Beach, like, you're going through those horses, like, they're okay. I think he was just in some kind of softer graded stakes races as well. So yeah, if he's pretty short, I didn't have him in my top like 3 or 4 here.
No, I didn't at all. I want to toss that horse. I thought Layabout is probably going to get the best trip about it, anybody, because if David's right about Tank, this horse is going to sit right
behind him, right?
And get the trip of a lifetime. He'll be hard to beat. He'd be hard to beat if Tank wasn't in this race, I think, as well. The real wild card is the 2 without. This horse ran really well first time in America. Probably needed that race,
and he just kind of was like
great post either.
He was
ran
like
really,
even,
really good. Yeah,
right. Like, it was good. It was like an even race. Like, he just looked like it was a race that he's got ability and he can take a step forward off of that. And it does feel like a good spot, because I'm not scared of anybody in here, really.
Exactly.
Like nobody terrifies me at all. And I kind of agree with what you were going. Like, I do think Layabout is going to be solid in here. I had 2, 3, 6 for the horses who I want to include. I'm going to use the 6. Okay, cool. So Zverev gets off the rail, and we'll maybe get a different type of trip in here. I thought, looking at Anagata's last 4 races, they're pretty good. I think he has kind of stepped his game up. He wins that Hawthorne Derby. Then at Churchill Downs in the Commonwealth, he's not far behind Giacoso at all at 30-1. Then he beats Final Gambit at Turfway Park a couple starts back. The Sam Houston race, you may look at it and then dismiss it. Truly Quality is who he beat, and Truly Quality came back and was in the San Marcos. He would be one of the favorites in this race if Truly Quality was in here, this multiple graded stakes winner for Jonathan Thomas. So just kind of using him as a measuring stick. I'm going to throw in Anagata. So I'm 2, 3, 6. Barry, you said you're going to give the 7 a little bit of a look.
Yeah. Maker claimed this horse last summer, and he ripped off 3 straight, then shows up in McKnight, where Layabout really controlled that pace, didn't really have too much of a shot. Probably needs some pace to run into, but I still think this horse is probably better than half this field and may show up in the picture. I'm not, like, if I had to trim a ticket down, I would just go 2, 3 without the 6 or the 7. Bigger tickets, 2, 3, 6, and 7 for sure.
And that is the middle leg, third leg of the Coast to Coast Pick 5 sequence. 2 more that remain. Let's head back over to Santa Anita, and we dive back into a graded stakes race. And this one is another that's it's a pretty fun race to handicap. I think you have a couple different variables in here because you have a really nice horse like Thought Process, but Thought Process hasn't raced since August. And Thought Process will now be facing older for the first time and maybe a little bit of other speed. And she's drawn down to the rail. Now she can sit. She's not like a completely need to lead one-dimensional horse, but she doesn't like tower over this field on speed figures, and she's going to have to face older horses. So that won't be easy for her at a short price. You have Grand Slam Smile, who's an awesome Calbred. She has been about as good as you can be at the state bred level, but now she'll get an opportunity to go a little bit longer and to face Open Company and to see how good she really is. She's won 3 of her last 4. She's done it really impressively. She's pretty much passed all the tests at the Calbred level. Now can she do it against Open Company? She's a 10-time winner. So both the inside two, I think they're talented. I'm not telling you to toss them or not, but they do have some questions they have to answer in this race, facing older, facing tougher, facing Open Company, that sort of thing. You have Princess Moche, who's in very nice form right now. She's won 3 of her last 4. She just won the Megahertz. She was only briefly in front of Vibes, who was closing late in that race. So she looks like another player in here too. So, it's, again, not a massive field, but Watchtower, from a class standpoint, is not dismissed by this group, especially if they go quick early on. I even thought the 6, My Perfect Wave, was moving in the right direction. I liked her last time out. She got completely shut off on the rail. I don't know if she was going to win, but if she finished 3rd and her buyer speed figure was more like an 84 or 85 or something in that range, you'd probably just look at her a lot differently in here. And I do think she might be a little bit better than those speed figures would suggest. Barry, talk to us about the Buena Vista.
Yeah, this race is, like you said, it's very tough. I mean, any one of these horses can win. We're leaning towards a horse to kind of single in this race because it's not a huge field. It has the potential to be one of those kind of separator races, especially if you can get away from the favorite here. I thought Vibes probably will sit a great trip here. A little bit on the versatility of this horse. He doesn't really have to be all that far back like he was last time in the Megahertz, and I think that cost him. And I think a lot of that was his post position. He was out wide, was almost 4 deep the whole way around, and closed with a rush and just got beat by Princessa Moche. I think that can change, and they can reverse that. I think Vibes might get a better trip this time, especially with the speed to the inside.
Yeah, if those 2 horses go, if the one's a little bit fresh and she's just pushing it early, and the 2's gonna be going, the 2's got to go. So those 2 are going inside. And Princessa Moche she can sit. And there was a great interview that Christina Oliveris Blacker, I still go Oliveris, but she did on FanDuel right before Princessa Moche ran in the Megahertz. She talked with Steve Rothblum, who's part of the Doug O'Neill team. And I want to point it out because it was so watching it. He said, I just want to mention this mare, she can sit off a little bit if she has to. And the one thing that we've really found out about her over the last couple months, she's very determined. And it was so funny because
interesting choice of words.
She sat just off in a race where if she couldn't have sat a little bit, she probably would have lost and Vibes would have beat her. If she got caught up in the battle early and she couldn't switch herself off a little bit, she would have lost that race. And then she had to get determined in a close finish. So it was great because Christina did a good job getting that out of Steve. And Steve, the way that he described this gal, she went right out and showed exactly what he said, that she's good. She's got speed. She can sit, but she is really determined. She's a nice horse. She'll go 3rd start of the form cycle, but I do think she's going to be up in the mix. And I feel like it's going to be pretty honest in here. And I'm sort of looking for the off the pace horse too, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, Vibes fits that bill, especially from the outside. I think they're going to get a good trip here. Watchtower was the other one. Who, with this sort of quote unquote drop in class would probably be served better, especially after that last trip in the Frankel, cutting back in distance. They'll probably be a little bit closer to the pace and more in a kind of winnable position than they would have been otherwise in other races at this distance. I think this horse has gotten better since they've been running the mile. They went longer for a while, went back to the mile in the swing time, didn't run all that well. It was a big field, and Vibes actually won that race. Comes out of that, they went long and kind of fizzled out late. I think this is a really good spot for Watchtower, and I think this one might go under the radar and get a little higher price than that 9-2.
Yeah, she's going to be in the mix for me for sure too. And I mentioned I'm going to throw the 6 in for my Perfect Wave, who was not that far behind Princessa Moche and Vibes there, and did just get shut off on the inside and still seems to be moving in the right direction. Hey, shout out to Tim Yakteen. He won with this horse, Essential Lady, 31-1 to close things out on Saturday. Boom diggity. That was a good one for yours truly. One of a good the few good ones in a while. And so now I got the momentum flipped. Things are feeling good. You get a nice little $60 winner to close out the Santa Anita card on Saturday. So we'll see
good vibes. See vibes.
Right, good vibes right there.
Vibes.
Right
there, it is.
Vibes or vibes. So Barry, that finishes up the Santa Anita portion of the Coast to Coast Pick 5. We've got one more race in the sequence to discuss. We're going to head back on over to Gulfstream Park, and we're going to take a look at the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth with Kentucky Derby points up for grabs there, and a really intriguing field, because I think that I like one or two horses in here, and we'll get to them in a minute. But if you're doing the game where it's like, what's the Sunday morning headline coming out of this race? It really wouldn't shock me to see 4 or 5 of these horses have like a big win that could make them a major player moving towards the Derby. If you told me Jackson Hole, if you told me the Commandment, if you told me even Bravaro, who didn't run poorly last time, Chief Wallaby, Napoleon Solo, Solitude Dude, any one of those horses seem like they could be the type that if they come out of this race and they won the race by 2 or 3 lengths, they're going to be right there in the mix as the top horses in this division for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird the way that the points and how the evolution of the game has changed this sort of thing. Because before you'd see a campaign of 3, 4, 5 races. Now you're seeing more like 2.
Yep.
And it's getting like college football. You lose one of those races, you're probably not going to run in the Derby.
And we don't get a feel or a sense, like we don't know the horses as well.
No,
right?
The
less you run, we don't know their demeanors. We don't know what they did last year as a 2-year-old. See the progression. It's like it's just tougher for us as gamblers.
Yeah, I mean, like if you saw, let's say, Chief Wallaby's race, you would think that horse would be, even money in this spot.
Absolutely.
And might end up that way.
Might get bet, right? More than, because he's a buzzy horse and he was awesome. And he's one of 2 horses in this race that I like. And I would be fine trying to get to, because I do think he could sit a pretty nice trip if it's a similar type trip as he got in that race. But he ran that race 6 weeks ago. That was his career debut. He's now stepping up into graded stakes company. He's going to have to go longer, and he may be a little more forward if he's in the mix with these other horses. Like, this is not an easy spot for him at all.
It isn't.
But he might be talented enough that it just doesn't matter. Like, he's just good enough to beat these horses.
Yeah, and same thing you could say for Jackson Hole. I was there the day he broke his maiden. He didn't look all that great that day, but he did what he needed to do against a field that was so-so. Then he goes to Fairgrounds, which I thought they were going to stay over there, actually. And he ran a bang-up race in that optional claimer. Comes back here, he's shown 2 kinds of dimensions. The fact that he drew the rail means he'll probably have to show one of them, at least to get position. And that might not be the worst thing in the world here. Unless he's just going to go head up with Rocky's Balboa. He might even be faster than that horse. But we'll see. I think this pace is going to get hot, and a horse like Bravaro might be the beneficiary of all of that.
The horse I really like is Commandment. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, he looks
creative.
Great too. He looks the same. They run. They kind of run the same sort of style, except Commandment drew off and won by 6 3/4.
And as you're saying, like the race that Commandment ran last time out in the the Mucho Macho Man. It's funny. He's the one here. And at the top of the lane in this race, like right about here, I could see the same exact thing happening in this race.
Yep.
Where they're stacking up like 4 across the track and Commandment's like right behind them. Looking for the, like, Commandment or Bravaro or those horses that are behind looking for that. Like, I just see a similar type setup. I like he pushed through there. He draws off. I've just kind of been following along with his progress too. And he's one of my favorite 3-year-olds. One of my other favorite 3-year-olds was Plutarch. I drafted him in a fantasy league, and we know how well that guy didn't get a run out of poor Plutarch, who's going to be off the trail now. But I mean, this is a nice effort. And I think he just fits really, really well. Like everything about this, he looks good on paper. And I don't think he's going to be that much shorter than his morning line.
No, he should be around that. Yeah.
Because of like what we're saying, like the 6 is going to get money, Chief Wallaby. The 1, Jackson Hole, is probably going to get some money. We haven't even talked about the grade 1 winner. Napoleon Solo, who is really, really talented. Like, he's debut winner at Saratoga, came right back, wins the grade 1 Champagne. He is very, very quick. And maybe the quickest of all in here. Like, if anyone is going to go, I'm not sure. Jackson Hole from the inside, and this guy could get into a tussle, but he has been working from off the pace a little bit. I don't know if that is leaning into how they're going to run, but trainer Chad Summers responded, did you see, to our buddy Matty?
Yeah.
And Matt was talking about other speed in there. It was funny. I couldn't get the sense of like, what did Chad mean, that he thinks this horse is faster than everyone, or that he thinks this horse could sit off and doesn't need the lead, right? Was it, but it's funny that he definitely feels very confidently about this horse. And I like knowing that barns and trainers, I mean, obviously with these horses, they feel good, but he thinks his horse is going to run a big one.
Oh yeah, that's definitely encouraging when you really know that the trainer's behind this horse. I mean, he's a question mark just like all the others. I wouldn't want to take too short of a price on, but you can't totally dismiss because of his talent and what he's shown. This is a really, really tough race.
Yeah, because if he were to win this race by 4 lengths and he got the lead, or he sat just off, that would not shock me at all.
No.
And I like races like this where even if I don't love him as much as I do other horses, I could absolutely see that happening with him, with Chief Wallaby, with a horse like Commandment, Bravaro. I could see him winning. He probably isn't the type that wins like as brilliant as some of these others in here, with like Jackson Hole and his speed and the ability for him to maybe run them off their feet. But a strong group, and I think we're going to really get a good idea coming out of this race. Things are going to shape up quite a bit after this race. We've got the Rebel on Sunday. So Barry, man, another great weekend of racing coming up, where our focus will be a lot at Gulfstream Park with the Fountain of Youth Day, but we'll be playing the coast to coast back and forth at Santa Anita. Sunday is Rebel Day over at Oaklawn Park. So a huge weekend. You'll be coming out to the West Coast next weekend. Talk to us about anything else that you worked on this week. Was it Horse Racing Happy Hour with Louie, or where else can we find you?
Yep. Horse Racing Happy Hour, SoCal Saturday tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. And we're going over the entire Santa Anita card, including the stakes we went over today. So, join us. We'll have some fun and pick some winners. We had a couple last week. Miss Artois really came through.
You love that horse. You said to single that horse on the coast to coast pick 5 that we went through too on that preview. So you were all over that one. It was a great price in that coast to coast pick 5 sequence. Every time you're playing the races from Gulfstream or Santa Anita, picks, DRF past performances, clock reports, everything you need to succeed. And if you ever have your friends out at the track that are new horse racing fans, they need a little help with the past performances, direct them to DRF newbie.drf.com. They will love this. It will help them so much in their handicapping and in the learning the past performances. So check that out. And as we say goodbye, we remind you one more time about the Coast to Coast Pick 5 and the Sunset 6.
Play the popular Coast to Coast Pick 5 and the new Sunset Pick 6, featuring the last 3 races from
Gulfstream Park at Santa Anita Park. A $1 minimum.
retail only wagers. Coast to Coast Pick 5 and Sunset Pick 6.